Good morning. This is Ron. Welcome to Story Time. This is August 24th, Thursday, and I'm recording this on location at Lovebird's Cafe and Bakery in Pasadena, California on Colorado Boulevard. And I've been reading from the 48 Laws of Power, and today, Law 39, stir up waters to catch fish. Anger and emotion are strategically counterproductive. You must always stay calm and objective. But if you can make your enemies angry while staying calm yourself, you gain a decided advantage. Put your enemies off balance. Find the chink in their vanity through which you can rattle them, and you hold the strings. Angry people usually end up looking ridiculous, for their response seems out of proportion to what occasioned it. They've been taking things too seriously, exaggerating the hurt or insult that has been done to them. They are so sensitive to slight that it becomes comical how much they take personally. More comical still is their belief that their outbursts signify power. The truth is the opposite. Petulance is not power, it is a sign of helplessness. People may temporarily be cowed by your tantrums, but in the end they lose respect for you. They also realize they can easily undermine a person with so little self-control. The answer, however, is not to repress our angry or emotional responses, for repression drains us of energy and pushes us into strange behavior. Instead, we have to change our perspective. We have to realize that nothing in the social realm and in the game of power is personal. Everyone is caught up in a chain of events that long predates the present moment. Our anger often stems from problems in our childhood, from the problems of our parents, which stem from their own childhood, on and on. Our anger also has roots in the many interactions with others, the accumulated disappointments and heartaches that we have suffered. An individual will often appear as the instigator of our anger, but it is much more complicated. It goes far beyond what the individual did to us. If a person explodes with anger at you and it seems out of proportion to what you did to them, you must remind yourself that it is not exclusively directed at you. Do not be so vain. The cause is much larger, goes way back in time, involves dozens of prior hurts, and is actually not worth the bother to understand. Instead of seeing it as a personal grudge, look at the emotional outburst as a disguised power move, an attempt to control or punish you, cloaked in the form of hurt feelings and anger. The shift of perspective will let you play the game of power with more clarity and energy. Instead of overreacting and becoming ensnared in people's emotions, you will turn their loss of control to your advantage. You keep your head while they are losing theirs. During an important battle in the War of the Three Kingdoms in the 3rd century A.D., advisors to the commander discovered documents showing that certain of his generals had conspired with the enemy and urged him to arrest and execute them. Instead, he ordered the documents burned and the matter forgotten. At this critical moment in the battle, to get upset or demand justice would have reverberated against him. An angry action would have called attention to the general's disloyalty, which would have harmed the troops' morale. Justice could wait. He could deal with the generals in time. The commander kept his head and made the right decision. Compare this to Napoleon's response to Talleyrand. Instead of taking the conspiracy personally, the emperor should have played the game like the commander, carefully weighing the consequences of any action he took. The more powerful response in the end would have been to ignore Talleyrand or bring the minister gradually back to his side and punish him later. Anger only cuts off your options, and the powerful cannot thrive without options. Once you train yourself not to take matters personally and to control your emotional responses, you will have placed yourself in a position of tremendous power. Now you can play with the emotional responses of other people. Stir the insecure into action by impugning their manhood and by dangling the prospect of an easy victory before their faces. Do as Houdini did when he challenged by the less successful escape artist Clapini. Reveal an apparent weakness. Houdini let Clapini steal the combination for a pair of cuffs to lure your opponent into action. Then you can beat him with ease. With the arrogant, too, you can appear weaker than you are, taunting them into rash action. Sun Pen, commander of the armies of Qi and loyal disciple of Sun Tzu, once led his troops against the armies of Wei, which outnumbered him 2-1. Let us light 100,000 fires when our army enters Wei, suggested Sun Pen. 50,000 on the next day, and only 30,000 on the third. On the third day, the Wei general exclaimed, "I knew the men of Qi were cowards, and after only 3 days, more than half of them have deserted." So, leaving behind his slow-moving heavy infantry, the general decided to seize the moment and move swiftly on Qi camp with a lightly armed force. Sun Pin's troops retreated, luring Wei's army into a narrow pass where they ambushed and destroyed them. With the Wei general dead and his forces decimated, Sun Pin now easily defeated the rest of his army. In the face of a hot-headed enemy, finally, an excellent response is no response. Follow the Talleyrand tactic. Nothing is as infuriating as a man who keeps his cool while others are losing theirs. If it will work to your advantage to unsettle people, affect the aristocratic, bored pose, neither mocking nor triumphant, but simply indifferent. This will light their fuse. When they embarrass themselves with temper tantrums, you will have gained several victories, one of these being that in the face of their childishness, you have maintained your dignity and composure. Authority. If your opponent is of a hot temper, try to irritate him. If he's arrogant, try to encourage his egotism. One who is skilled at making the enemy move does so by creating a situation according to which the enemy will act. He entices the enemy with something he is certain to take. He keeps the enemy on the move by holding out bait and then attacks him with picked troops. Sun Tzu, 4th century BC. Reversal. When playing with people's emotions, you have to be careful. Study the enemy beforehand. Some fish are best left at the bottom of the pond. The leaders of the city of Tyre, capital of ancient Phoenicia, felt confident they could withstand Alexander the Great, who had conquered the Orient but had not attacked their city, which stood well protected on the water. They sent ambassadors to Alexander saying that although they would recognize him as emperor, they would not allow him or his forces to enter Tyre. This, of course, enraged him, and he immediately mounted a siege. For 4 months the city withstood him, and finally he decided the struggle was not worth it, and that he had come to terms with the Tyrians. But they, feeling that they had already baited Alexander and gotten away with it, and confident that they could withstand him, refused to negotiate. In fact, they killed his messengers. This pushed Alexander over the edge. Now it did not matter to him how long the siege lasted or how large an army it needed. He had the resources and would do whatever it took. He remounted his assault so strenuously that he captured Tyre within days, burned it to the ground, and sold its people into slavery. You can bait the powerful and get them to commit and divide their forces, as Sun Pin did, but test the waters first. Find the gap in their strength. If there is no gap, if they are impossibly strong, you have nothing to gain and everything to lose by provoking them. Choose carefully whom you bait and never stir up the sharks. Finally, there are times when a well-timed burst of anger can do you good, but your anger must be manufactured and under your control. Then you can determine exactly how and on whom it will fall. Never stir up reactions that will work against you in the long run, and use your thunderbolts rarely to make them the more intimidating and meaningful. Whether purposefully staged or not, if your outbursts come too often, they will lose their power. So a couple of things. First of all, and that's the end of Law 39, about stir up the waters to get fish, is the idea that, let's see if we can find the, let's see, that's not it. I'm going to find the, let's see. Oh, this one here. Everyone is caught up in a chain of events that long predates the present moment. Our anger often stems from problems in our childhood and from the problems of our parents, which stem from their own childhood, on and on and on. BS. Absolute crap. That's basically what it is determinism. That's the faulty idea, the error that says that people have no free will, that they do what they do because they're forced to by forces beyond their control. In this particular case, by the forces of time, by the forces of child rearing, by the forces of heredity, and it's, again, absolute BS. By the evidence of our senses, we know that everyone has free will and that they can choose to get angry, react appropriately, overreact, and in that case, acting inappropriately or not. That they can choose exactly how to respond to any given situation. The other thing is that with using Talleyrand and Napoleon as an example. And Napoleon had rushed back from some battle somewhere that hearing a rumor that people were conspiring against him, and that Talleyrand was one of the conspirators. So he came back, gathered everybody in a meeting, and blew his top, threw a temper tantrum. And but basically didn't do anything. So it isn't the temper tantrum that, and Talleyrand just basically stood around, very smug and had nothing to say and didn't respond. He was acting aloof and all that. And again, the problem with the situation here is that Napoleon could have very easily, and perhaps should have, simply put him in prison or put him to the guillotine or something of that nature. It isn't Talleyrand's. The story was that the point of the story was that Talleyrand basically baited Napoleon into throwing this huge temper tantrum in order to make him look stupid and foolish in front of other people, so that this would then the rumor would circulate that Napoleon was a hothead and untrustworthy and unpredictable, et cetera, et cetera. But again, if Napoleon has any real power, then what he simply needs to do is go ahead and take Talleyrand and put him in prison, for instance, and be done with the problem, instead of throwing a temper tantrum. So it's not so much the being angry that was the problem for Napoleon. It's just not doing, I guess, following one of the other laws, which would be crush your enemy completely. He let Talleyrand off the hook, and from what I understand, Talleyrand was able to help bring down Napoleon eventually by again hanging around and being a negative influence in Napoleon's administration. So the whole idea, again, the best part of this of this chapter is in the reversal section, when it says there are times when a well-timed burst of anger can do you good, but your anger must be manufactured and under your control. Then you can determine exactly how and on whom it will fall. And that's another thing, is that if you're good, the key to this chapter is the overreaction part. If you are, as long as you're reacting appropriately, you're angry and you have good reason to be angry. If you're outraged and you have good reason to be outraged, if you're throwing a temper tantrum and you've got a darn good reason to be throwing a temper tantrum, then it's not a problem. So it's more of a question of judgment, what it is that you're going to be angry about, rather than being angry in and of itself. And again, the part of the chapter where that's promoting determinism is complete crap. It's just, by the evidence of our senses, we have free will, we choose what we do, and again, it's just a matter of judgment. Are we exercising good or poor judgment when we do so? But like I said, that is the end of Law 39, and we're coming up on Saturday. Let's see, this is the 24th, so it'll be Saturday the 26th. I'll be reading Law 40, called Despise the Free Lunch. What is offered for free is dangerous. It usually involves either a trick or hidden obligation. What is worth paying for. By paying your own way, you stay clear of gratitude, guilt, and deceit. It is also often wise to pay the full price. There is no cutting corners with excellence. Be lavish with your money and keep it circulating, for generosity is a sign and a magnet for power. So it sounds like this is going to be a good chapter coming up. And that's going to be on Saturday, the 26th of August. And until then, thank you for joining me, and have a great day.